Let's be real about Micah Parsons. Before he became one of the NFL's most dominant defenders, Micah Parsons was already a superstar in the making. A 5-star recruit and the number 4 overall player in his high school class. At Penn State, he won the Butkus Fitzgerald Linebacker of the Year award, proving he was one of college football's best. And when he hit the NFL, Defensive Rookie of the Year, first team All-Pro, one of the fastest players to 50 career sacks. The talent is undeniable. But the real question is, how does he stand against other players in the league? And is he on track to have elite status like TJ Watt or Myles Garrett? But before we get to that, let's take it back to his high school days to see where it all started. Before Micah Parsons became one of the most feared defenders in the NFL, he was already a nightmare for opponents in high school. Growing up in Harrisburg, Pennsylvania, Parsons didn't just play football, he dominated it. From a young age, he stood out with freakish athleticism, speed, and power that made it almost unfair for anyone lining up against him. And the numbers back that up. As a senior running back, Parsons rushed for 1,239 yards and 27 touchdowns in just 12 games, averaging 11.4 yards per carry. A ridiculous stat that proves just how much faster and stronger he was than his competition. But he wasn't just a dominant ball carrier. He also showed his explosiveness as a receiver, adding 99 yards and 2 receiving touchdowns to his season totals. What's even more impressive is that he ran the 100-meter dash in 11.19 seconds, an elite time for a player his size. He also clocked a 24.84-second 200-meter dash, proving that his speed wasn't just football fast, he had real track speed. Most elite recruits specialize early, but Parsons destroyed teams from both sides of the ball. On defense, he played defensive end and looked like a man amongst boys, flying off the edge and terrorizing quarterbacks. By the time his high school career was wrapping up, Parsons had offers from nearly every major college program. But choosing a school was just the first step. Now, it was time to prove he could dominate at the next level. But before we continue, if you're enjoying this video, please hit that like button, subscribe, and turn on the notification bell as we go ahead with the video. Micah Parsons arrived at Penn State as a highly recruited defensive end, but the coaching staff saw something different. They didn't want him rushing the passer, they wanted him in the middle of the action, running the entire defense. So despite having little experience at the position, he was switched to inside linebacker as a freshman. For most players, that kind of transition takes time. However, for Parsons, he looked like a natural from day one. Even as a true freshman, he was one of the best players on the field. He didn't start immediately, but that didn't stop him from leading Penn State in tackles by the end of the season. His closing speed, instincts, and ability to shed blockers made him a problem for offenses. Linebackers usually take years to develop, but Parsons was already playing at an elite level, and he was just getting started. By his sophomore year, there was no doubt. Micah Parsons was the best defensive player on the team. He racked up 109 tackles, 14 tackles for loss, and 5 sacks, numbers that put him among the best linebackers in the country. But stats only told half the story. His ability to read plays, explode into gaps, and chase down ball carriers made him a nightmare for offenses. He capped off the season by dominating the 2019 Cotton Bowl, recording 14 tackles, 2 sacks, and 2 forced fumbles, cementing himself as one of college football's best. He was named the Butkus Fitzgerald Linebacker of the Year, an award given to the top linebacker in the Big Ten. Then, COVID-19 changed everything. Rather than risk his health, Parsons opted out of the 2020 season, choosing to prepare for the NFL Draft. The decision didn't hurt his chances. If anything, it made teams even more eager to get him. He had already shown enough. The next step was the NFL, where he was about to take the league by storm. When the Dallas Cowboys selected Micah Parsons 12th overall in the 2021 NFL Draft, they knew they were getting an elite athlete. What they didn't know was that they were drafting a defensive game changer who would transform their entire unit overnight. Parsons wasn't just good as a rookie, he was dominant, and he proved it in the game against the Kansas City Chiefs.
Mahomes under pressure, Parsons knocked it out!
He finished his first season with 13 sacks, 3 forced fumbles, and 20 tackles for loss, winning NFL Defensive Rookie of the Year without any real competition. The Cowboys had been searching for a defensive star, and they found one. By year 2, it was clear Parsons wasn't just one of the best young defenders, he was one of the best defenders, period. He followed up his rookie campaign with 13.5 sacks in 2022, earning his first-team All-Pro selection. Offensive coordinators started planning entire game strategies around him, using double teams, chip blocks, and quick passes to limit his impact. It didn't work. Parsons was too fast, too strong, and too relentless. In 2023, he took it up another notch. 14 sacks, another first-team All-Pro selection, and a season filled with highlight reel plays. He was setting the standard for what an elite pass rusher looked like. Whether lined up on the edge, blitzing from the middle, or even dropping back in coverage, he was a nightmare for offenses. The only thing stopping him from an even bigger year was the Cowboys' defensive inconsistencies. By 2024, Parsons had firmly established himself as one of the most dominant defensive players in football. Even as the Cowboys' defense struggled at times, he continued to put up elite numbers. His ability to take over games in key moments, especially in the playoffs, made it clear. Micah Parsons wasn't just great, he was becoming a generational talent. But now comes the real question: how good is he really? Let's break down the numbers and impact to find out. You see, Micah Parsons isn't just great, he's statistically one of the most dominant defensive players in the NFL. In just 4 seasons, he's already passed the 50 sack mark, something only 7 players in NFL history have accomplished in that time span. That alone puts him in rare company, but sacks only tell part of the story. Parsons is consistently among the league leaders in QB pressures, tackles for loss, and pass rush win rate, proving that even when he isn't getting the sack, he's still disrupting plays at an elite level, like in this game with the Philadelphia Eagles.
Rolling. 2nd and 9. And the ball comes out this time. It was Parsons who forced it.
What separates him from most pass rushers is his versatility. He's not just one of the best defenders in the NFL. He's on a path to becoming one of the best we've ever seen. But to truly measure him against the greats, we have to compare him to the best in the game today. Through his first 4 NFL seasons, Parsons has racked up 52.5 sacks, an impressive number considering he doesn't rush the passer full-time. For comparison, TJ Watt had 49 sacks in his first 4 years, while Myles Garrett had 42.5. That means Parsons is ahead of both at this stage in their careers, despite playing in multiple roles across the Cowboys' defense. But sacks don't tell the whole story. TJ Watt has always been a pure pass rusher, lining up almost exclusively on the edge. He finished his first 4 years with 231 total tackles, 49 sacks, and 25 forced fumbles, proving himself as a turnover machine. Parsons, on the other hand, has been asked to do far more than just rush the quarterback. He's lined up as an inside linebacker, an edge rusher, and even dropped into coverage, which makes his production even more impressive. Then there's Myles Garrett, known for his freakish strength and explosive get-off, had 42.5 sacks, 202 total tackles, and 10 forced fumbles in his first 4 seasons. He relies more on raw power and technique, while Parsons brings a blend of speed, agility, and versatility that neither Watt nor Garrett quite match. And then we have Aaron Donald, arguably the most dominant defensive player of the last decade. Donald, despite playing defensive tackle, managed 39 sacks in his first 4 seasons, a ridiculous number for an interior lineman. His combination of strength, quickness, and technique made him nearly unblockable. The biggest similarity between Donald and Parsons is their ability to completely alter game plans. Both demand extra blockers, both disrupt plays before they even develop, and both can take over a game at any moment. Evidently, Parsons is the most versatile of them all. But can he keep this level up for years to come? Micah Parsons isn't shy about his expectations for 2025. He believes the Dallas Cowboys are Super Bowl bound. He's made it clear that anything less than a championship is a failure. With the way he plays, it's hard to argue against his confidence. But is this finally the year Dallas breaks through? That depends on a lot of factors, and Parsons is at the center of all of them. One of the biggest storylines surrounding him right now is his contract situation. He's eligible for an extension, and when the deal gets done, he could become the highest paid defensive player in NFL history. Guys like TJ Watt, Nick Bosa, and Myles Garrett have all cashed in big, but Parsons is something they don't: youth and unmatched versatility. The Cowboys know they can't afford to lose him, and with a rising salary cap, his new deal could easily top $35 million per year. However, there are still people who think he has a lot to learn and he does not deserve the deal.
To rebuild this team, which the Cowboys desperately need to do, they need to trade Micah Parsons. I've in fact taken to calling him Herschel Parsons because the Herschel Walker trade built a team in Dallas once upon a time that won 3.
Skip Bayless also seems to agree.
At this rate that he's going, he'll never ever win a defensive MVP in the NFL, as in Defensive Player of the Year, which is why, I'm going to say it one more time, he's mostly hype, a whole lot of smoke, a whole lot of mirrors.
However, contracts aside, what really matters is how much Parsons can elevate the Cowboys' defense in 2025. Dallas has talent, but they've struggled in key moments, especially in the playoffs. Can Parsons be the piece that finally pushes them over the top? This is what he thinks.
So, you know what I'm saying? As long as I'm still alive, as long as I'm still part of this team, I'm going to keep on fighting.
He's already shown he can take over games, but now the pressure's on him to do it when it matters most, deep in the postseason, against the best of the best. If he can lead this defense to dominance and carry them to a championship, his legacy will take a massive leap forward. As for his Hall of Fame potential, he's off to an incredible start. If he keeps up this level of production for the next 5 to 7 years, he'll be a lock for Canton. Few defenders have had this kind of impact this early in their careers. But to truly cement his status among the all-time greats, he needs rings, awards, and longevity.